Companies are continually being pressurized to do more, to demonstrate what benefits they provide society in addition to just making money. It's as though profit-making entities need to redeem themselves through good works, pay reparations for their existence, and this then leads to the development of what I think Clive, when he was at The Economist, called the corporate social responsibility industry. The current conversation about business is, in my view, fundamentally flawed, and the debate about responsible corporations takes for granted the everyday activities of companies and what they contribute by just doing that. And it's only in this way that it's possible to focus so much attention on what else a company must do to contribute to the social good. Now, business leaders and their companies have mostly responded to the attacks on profit-making as a respectable contribution to society, but I think what you can only call intellectual collapse. In almost all cases, business leaders have given in without a struggle and accepted the general charge that companies do need to do more than just business in order to contribute. Instead of boldly and persuasively making the case for business, we have seen a process of appeasement. Now, any conversation about business and what it does or should do needs to take place, in my view, within a comprehensive understanding of what just doing business actually contributes. We need to start the conversation by looking at all of these positive benefits before I'm prepared to talk about anything else companies should do. Now, you can divide normal company activities and their impact into what I've called direct and indirect impacts. These are not very satisfactory terms, and one of the, I think, conclusions I've come to is we don't really have a good language to even describe the positive impact of companies and the associated issues. What are direct impacts? I think you could say that modern business is the most powerful engine ever invented of innovation, of large-scale organization, and transmission of know-how across frontiers. That's, of course, in addition to those minor things like creating wealth, jobs, paying taxes, things we all depend on. Now, the limited liability corporation has been called by some authors the greatest single discovery of modern times. The mechanism through which companies increase the pool of capital available for productive investment. It allows investors to spread their risk by purchasing small and easily marketable shares in several enterprises. And it provides a way of imposing effective management structures on large organizations. It also has the capacity to fail with relatively low social costs. And it's through this mechanism that today's corporations can finance and manage large-scale operations. Companies are uniquely effective in making human effort productive. Specialized resources in the form of labor, raw and finished materials, capital and knowledge come together in a remarkable process that transforms these components into goods and services of greater value. In so doing, they make a revolutionary contribution to the world in which we all live. Now, a former CEO of Unilever put it this way: the very business of doing business has a huge impact on society. 3/4 of our sales revenue goes straight out again to pay for goods and services for suppliers. Of the wealth we create each year by adding value to those goods and services, around 70% of it is channeled back into society through employee wages, shareholder dividends, government taxes, community investments. We generate employment. For every job we create in Unilever, we indirectly create several more in our supply chains and distribution channels. There are other contributions as well. Private enterprise and participating in private enterprise is an important source of less tangible but vital factors, such as openness to ideas, innovation, opportunity, empowerment. You could also argue that when dynamic enterprises are allowed to flourish, they tap into people's initiative, their ingenuity and self-reliance. And when people can participate in an economy by creating or joining an enterprise, they gain voice. So modern business then has direct impacts on countries and communities, but it also has indirect impacts, predominantly positive on the societies in which it operates. Now, this is what I'm calling invisible corporate citizenship. This is not discussed in company boardrooms. It's not what they intend to do. But if you look at the impact that they have, you can describe a number of profoundly important phenomena. Let me give you some examples. A recent book written about China and India came up with this statement, which I thought was very instructive. It wasn't just the jobs the Chinese were after, it was modernization itself. When foreign companies sought to open factories in China, the government insisted that they use and teach Chinese workers how to use their latest techniques, flooding a technologically backward country with know-how and spurring a very quick industrial revolution. My favorite example comes from India. Nandan Nilekani is the CEO of Infosys, one of the global champions in IT coming out of Bangalore. And he was asked a few years ago, Mr. Nilekani, what do you think your greatest contribution is? He said, well, we've started this massive business with billions and billions of dollars, but I think our greatest contribution is that we've redefined the possible for India. There are many other examples, more complicated. The professor at the Hong Kong Business School studied the impact of listing on the Shanghai Stock Exchange and the many demands that companies made for the institutions and operations they needed from that society in order to list. So their intention was not to improve Chinese society, but to list on the Shanghai Stock Exchange. But in the process of doing that, they had various requirements. They needed auditors of good repute. They needed to know what the rules were of the game. They needed to know how information about their companies would be communicated to potential investors, which required some kind of free press or moderately free press to report on their companies. A whole lot of institutions that helped to, if you like, thicken civil society.